So, hey guys, I'm outside today and we'll be talking about sales. 3 points I want to mention is one, being ruthless. The second point is having the right energy, so being sharp, being on the ball. And the third one is developing character as we go, as we learn more about business and sales, like how do we turn into someone that actually has integrity and strength. So these are the things I wanted to talk about. And for being ruthless, this is a skill you need to sort of develop as a salesperson. Not every salesperson is like that. There are some people who are a little bit more empathic, like maybe Jeremy Miner is a bit more strategically empathic. But if you look at people like Andy Elliott, that's someone that's very ruthless. And I want to stress here that I'm talking about being ruthless in an ethical way. But you're still being very, very aggressive and very ruthless. And I think this is a necessary trait to have. Even the people that are a little bit more empathic in sales, they still need to have enough ruthlessness in them to make sure that they can close a deal, to make sure that they can have rebuttals for objections, to make sure that they can handle objections. So I think it's just a good trait to have if you develop it in the right way, because the thing is, people, if you have a little bit of experience in sales and you've been there for at least a couple of months or maybe like a year or longer, you'll start noticing that a lot of people, they have like the same objections, and sometimes people are right, and they, and maybe it's not the right choice for them. But a lot of times you also come across like these same silly objections, like I need to think about it, or they just clearly mistrust you and it's misplaced. I mean, that happens often after a while as you get more sense of your product. And so what's important in that is that you're able to deal with that. And sometimes if we're too soft, it won't always work. And that's why we need to have like kind of like something like some push in a way to show them that this is going to work out, and that they should take the next step, and it's going to be good for them. Because a lot of the reasons why people don't buy, it's often actually because they are just unsure and like they are just in comfort and they don't want to take the step out of it, even though it would be good for them. Like they're just unsure, they don't want to take a risk. And so that's why we need to have a little bit of that grit, that ruthlessness to deal with those objections. And I'm not saying like push the people in like, I'm not saying to push the people in like a weird way or like in an ethical way, but we still need to push them, especially in the situations where they don't want to leave their comfort zone. If you don't have enough grit within you, then you won't be able to deal with that. You won't be able to ask the right questions to them that make them second guess themselves, and that makes them be okay with taking a risk, be okay with taking the next step. And that's what you need to develop. And that ties in a lot as well with having the right energy. So it's a lot of like being okay with hurting someone's feeling in like a weird way, like in a good way. Like if they're just like unsure and like they have some beliefs that are clearly damaging to themselves, and you should be able to question that. That's what I mean. But then also you need to have the good energy, the right energy, to make sure that whenever you're calling and whenever you're on sales meetings, that you can just speak, and that you can just be there, be present for your prospect, and that you're ready to give them trust, to handle their objections, and to just give them the feeling that you care about them and that you're actually there to make something happen. So if you're there and you're like a little bit sluggish and tired and you're not sharp, you're not on the ball, then it's not going to come over well for the prospect. And that's something that we need to learn to develop, because if we don't do that, then the prospect is going to see that you are tired, that maybe you don't want to be there, maybe that your energy is not right, maybe that you're not someone that executes. Then he's also going to be worried or wondering, like, is this person really someone that can take care of my business? Is this someone I can trust with this deal? So that's why it makes a really good impression on people if you have the right energy. And I'm not saying be like a clown and be like super over the top. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying have energy in a good way so that people receive it properly. And that also for yourself, that you're ready, that you're mentally present whenever the prospect says something, that you're able to either, first of all, listen to that, and then maybe you can counter that depending on, whether it needs to be countered or not. But there's going to be a lot of things, like if you're in sales, that there's a lot of things, a lot of objections you need to overcome. So that's why you need to have the right energy. And if you don't have that, if you're tired all the time, you're not going to be able to do that. And it's especially important if you've taken like a long time, that you're just stuck in the rut of like the cycle of doing sales meetings and staying consistent, which is like a very good trait to have. But the problem is, if you're too stuck in that rut, then it might be difficult, because you're just used to doing the same thing over and over again. And you will maybe feel a little bit tired of the process. And then it's good that you can, get your mind out of that for a while, and maybe hype yourself up. Like Jordan Belfort has some good things on state management that he speaks about. He gave like a silly example of like some kind of a stick that he uses, that he then sniffs, and that gives him like a boost. And this is not some kind of a drug, in case you're worried or wondering, but this is just a trick. Something, I think it's like related to state anchoring or something. It's something related to Anthony Robbins. But basically, Jordan Belfort, he had this stick, and whenever he had like a victory, a sales victory, then he took a big sniff of that stick. It was something that has like some smell, and then he started anchoring that feeling of victory to that stick. And now before he goes into a sales meeting, he sniffs that stick, and like he gets pumped up, he gets hyped up, and he has the energy. And so, am I recommending that you should do this? Well, I think that's up to you to decide. But I'm just here to point out that it's important to have the energy, because you can't be stuck in a rut. This won't work out. You need to have energy on your sales calls, and you need to be there, and you need to be not only consistent, but you also need to have the energy. You need to be able to make sure that you're sharp, that you're on the ball, and that you're there, that you can listen to the prospects, and that you're ready internally to handle their objections, and that you don't just accept what they say if what they say is flawed. That's what I mean. Sorry, I just canceled my video, but the last point I wanted to discuss is character, and I'm feeling a little bit weird here because I'm speaking and like there's people going by. Even though this is a really quiet town, it feels a little bit weird because I'm not used to recording outside, but I guess it's good practice, because maybe at one point I always wanted to try this. But maybe I'm going to go to more like a city in the future and then cringe as people look at me as I speak in front of the camera. But anyway, so the last point I wanted to talk about is character. and that as we are growing in business and in sales, if you have the right mindset, then your character will grow anyway. But I think it's good to be aware, to just give attention to becoming someone of character. So what do I mean by that? That's basically, I had the idea to basically, I think of character as two traits, which are strength and integrity. And the way I think about it, it's like you kind of need both of them. Because if you have strength, but you don't have integrity, then, you might be strong, you might be someone that is assertive, and maybe you can influence people and people follow you, but you're going to take everything to shit because you don't have ethics, you don't have integrity. So that's why it's important to learn how to treat people ethically, learn to lead things to a good outcome, learn to separate good from bad. And that's something I think everyone is always learning, morals and ethics. And it's not always that clear. But I think everyone intuitively, if we just think about things and we feel about things, then we can usually make a decision between maybe one decision. Maybe you won't be able to label something as good or bad, but maybe you'll be able to feel that this one decision is probably a little bit better than the other one. Because, let's say that you need to choose between robbing people in order to make money, or like trying to produce something of value for people in order to make money. That obviously trying to produce something of value for people is going to be more ethical. Why? Well, it's an intuition, I guess. I mean, philosophers talk about this for centuries and millennia, but I think everyone just has like an intuitive feeling of that. And I'm sorry I'm repeating myself a lot in this video. If you're still watching, I am glad you're still here. I'm going to be working on my speaking, and hopefully my thoughts will be less messy in the future. I also didn't have a lot of time to record this video. But yeah, I think on the other side of things, if you have someone who is thinking about morals and values all the time, like that person is probably going to have a good grasp of that. And that might be someone who somewhere, somehow, like they have a lot of integrity. But the thing is, like, if they don't have the strength of character, if they're not able to stand up for themselves, for the people they care about, or for what they believe in, then they might have all the good intentions in the world, but if they can't do something, if they can't make a change, then, you're just someone with good intentions. And I think that's admirable, but I think someone of true character is someone who doesn't just have good intentions, but also someone who can actually make a change and actually make things better. So how does this relate to sales and business? Well, personally, I think that if you have good ethics and if you have good character, people will go towards that. People will prefer that over someone who is shady. And that might not always be the case, but I think in general it is. If people see that you're there to add value, that you're there to make the world a better place, I think the only reason people would choose something else over that, maybe we can think about some shady porn or something like that, some shady porn business or whatever. I mean, the only reason I think people wouldn't choose that, or one of the biggest reasons why people wouldn't choose this, obviously, is just like because they want to escape in some kind of shady desire or something. But I think there's still enough people out there that actually want to make a change. And if they have a choice and they see that it's of value to the world, I think people will prefer something like that than, you know, something that's clearly not ethical. And obviously, like, there's like a lot of room for error here. People are going to chase their desires, even if it's not ethical, and it might end up hurting them and the world. But that's something we have to learn to deal with. And I just think as we learn to become people of character, we won't just be able to increase the value of our own lives because we're leading ourselves to a better place, but you're also going to be able to have an effect on the people around you, on your friends, your family, your close ones, your clients, other people, other business people, other people in your circle. And I think that way it's a great way that people can trust you more in your sales and people can trust your business more. So I know this is a bit of a maybe a little bit strange video today, not seeing me in my man cave and my thoughts being pretty jumbled, but if you're still here with me, I thank you for watching the video, and I will try to make a better one, make a more structured one next time in my man cave. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye bye.